Good morning and welcome to my channel, As Read by Ginger. And I'd like to start out by saying that I haven't made content in a long time because I moved, had a kid, got my life together. So I decided to use YouTube as a way to hold myself accountable with reading, to discuss the books that I feel passionate about, and to also just kind of incite or just like spark conversation with different forms of reading. So first, I would like to say how I read and what has helped and encouraged me. So first and foremost, I do not do ebooks. I do audio and I do physical books, but ebooks is, I cannot do it. Something about being on my phone or a tablet, scrolling, does not work for me. What does really work well for me is audiobooks, specifically being ones from Libby or ones on Spotify. I just go through audiobooks like crazy. And I notice I can get through really dense books fast on audio, but it's very challenging for me to retain that information when it comes to like trying to recall facts. Physical books. I have been struggling with physical books lately, mainly because it's like by the time I sit down and read, it's really hard for me to focus. You know, you go from being on your phone all day or computer or just life, dealing with your kids, to now sitting down, calming down yourself and your nervous system and just reading. It's challenging, but I do retain information better when it comes to physical books. So as someone who works full-time, takes care of a kid with my spouse, and just has life in general, I want to show some ways to what has helped me mentally and setting up reading goals. So typically everyone has like, I want to read 30, 40, 50, 100 books in a year. So my recommendation is to stop looking at reading like that. What has helped me as a mom is to make life-changing goals sustainable for the rest of my life. So first of all, what is your reason for reading that many books? Is it like you want to read 30 books in a year, so it's over 2 books a month because you're not good at just reading books in general? Or do you want to read to help better yourself as a human, to grow, to learn? So for myself, right, I stopped with the 30 books a year, 40, 150 books. I just use that as a benchmark on Goodreads. I do have a Goodreads account, As Read by Ginger. Please follow. But for myself, my goal has to read every single day. Now, I did that before 2026, so I did that, I hit 40 days, and I hit like a wall, or like a reading slump, and then I recently started picking back up. So I got even, it's challenging too, because you read every day, and you're just like, I'm not reading enough, right? Don't think of it like that. So whatever your medium is to read, just do it every day. So like I said, I do audiobooks. So I will do, like, some days I'll go through hours of audiobooks in one day, and then some days it's like 5-10 minutes. Some days I can read half a book in a day. Other days it's like 2 pages because I'm so exhausted. But I force myself to read every day. It is very hard. 2 things. So when it comes to audiobooks, what I do is, if I'm driving, my child's very young, so she doesn't understand what I'm listening to, which is perfect because I have listened to some pretty extreme books. I'll show you what I've read, but extreme as in memoirs, Nobody's Child by Virginia Giuffre. I listened to that while my child was in the car. She doesn't even understand English, or any words. So it was very easy for me to listen to an Epstein Survivor's audiobook while driving, because I'm, doing two things at once. As a mom, you have to multitask. But two, it's because she's unable to understand what I'm listening to. Now, if your child's older, you may have to change your content around them. Also, when I'm doing dishes and I don't have to focus on my child as much. Driving, I don't have to focus on my kid as much because, like I said, she's tiny. But while I'm doing dishes, I'll just pop the audiobook on, blah, 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 blah. I'll do what I gotta do. Sorry. Physical books. What helps me the most is reading a couple pages, while you're breastfeeding, pumping. Sometimes I'll just be reading. If my child's winding down for the day and I'm kind of, she just needs someone to just hold her and she's just winding down and she's not fussy, I could pick up my book and read. Also, reading right before bed has helped me. Now, it has helped me because it's just like reading, digesting. It's like my free alone time. So I'm not really interrupted. So that's an option for you as well. Thank you for that. Next, how I build my reading, like what do I read? So I use Libby and Spotify for my audiobooks. So I go through Libby if I really try to keep myself accountable, because sometimes with a really popular book, you're unable to borrow it again, or it may last weeks. So whatever I don't finish on Libby, I go to Spotify. I really try not to use Spotify because I do enjoy Libby. So sometimes if I have like an hour left in a book and it's already out of, I didn't finish it in time, I'll just move it to Spotify. I have done that with a couple books. I did that with the Nobody's Girl by Virginia Giuffre. I did that with Babel by R.F. Kuang. So I did do that, and I did enjoy it because I got to finish the book in a timely manner, and it just didn't escape my mind. But I believe with Spotify, you get a limited amount of listening in a given time frame. So, my bad. So next, physical books. So I enjoy buying books that I know I'm going to read. So I know there's like a running joke out there that's like, I bought a whole series, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I do not like to do that. So the books I like to read is the books that I have is books that I want to keep. I do not live near Barnes & Noble like I used to, but when I did, I would go in there frequently. It gets pricey. And so I would go to thrift stores. I didn't really like Goodwill. I never found any really good books. If you're looking for cookbooks, I would suggest going to Goodwill. But I would find like book exchanges, places like that to find cheaper physical books. Now, if I wanted classics or popular books, I would go to Barnes & Noble. The, books that books written by famous authors that aren't very well known, I would go to Book Exchange. So, for example, Fahrenheit 451, you can find that at Barnes & Noble. That's where I got my copy. But then I have a book of The Illustrated Man where it was already written by Ray Bradbury, but it wasn't sold at Barnes & Noble. So I found it at Book Exchange. Does that make sense? So that's my recommendation. Now, I love the Goodreads. I love the Goodreads like little challenges that they have every quarter. And that has helped me diversify my reading because I do not enjoy a lot of the popular books that are out there. Like ACOTAR. I do not like ACOTAR. I do not run a read at what everybody else is reading because I've noticed that it's just not my cup of tea. There are a lot of famous books out there, or popular books according to Goodreads and social media that I've read that just, to me, it didn't hit the mark, such as Lessons in Chemistry, Babel, Akatar. Sorry, I have to watch a kid. But those were not, like, I did not enjoy those books very well as everybody else did. What has helped is if I go to the Goodreads bookmark, and then if you click on the bookmark, it'll say read spine tinglers, like books that, like, you know, tingle your spine or something, or a choice word, or I'll read something. So I try to pick books in those sections. So I'm reading something modern, I'm reading something themed, and sometimes I'll have classic books like kind of Monte Cristo, 100 Years of Solitude. So if I see something that's a classic on there, I'll read that over a popular, more modern book. That shouldn't make me come across as pretentious. I just have a certain style that I like to use, as well as I just have things that I like. Some women only like dead authors, or some people only like dead authors. Some people only like classics. Some people only like fantasy. If that's your cup of tea, then that's your cup of tea. But I noticed I started going more into like the Frida McFadden, and I was just listening to it because it was just like easier to get through those books and audio, and I wasn't learning anything. It was actually making me more miserable because I'm like, wow, what am I doing? Now, please, please, please use your local library. I've found some really good books, and I will talk about a book in my next video for Black History Month. But I got this at the library. It is Malcolm X, By Any Means Necessary, and I will talk about that in my next video, like I just said. But I got that at the library. I didn't know much about him. I've learned a lot, and I wouldn't have been interested in that unless I had gone to the library, to be honest. But I will also say that it doesn't matter if you have only 5 minutes to read, just read. Just like read, and that gives you more time to ponder, to digest what you're reading instead of just consuming. Because a lot of these people who read 100 books a year aren't reading, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they're not reading very challenging books. I could easily read 50 books a year if I just read Frida McFadden or Nita Prose or something where it was just like very easy, bite-sized books that had no challenge to them, that had a lot of holes in it. So I would encourage you to give yourself some grace, because you probably are a working adult, or if you are able to read so much, possibly just diversify your palette. Like, you don't always want to read a dessert book, and you also don't want to read a vegetable book. So just diversify your plate, diversify your palette, and challenge yourself to read every day, because reading every day has cut down on my social media time drastically. I was clocking 6-7 hours on my phone a day, just social, like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, just whatever. And I've gotten down to like 5 hours, 4.5. And a lot of that isn't because of TikTok or social media. A lot of it is just because Messenger, like that's how I text people. So, or I look up something for my kid, or a recipe. I'm not looking just to aimlessly scroll. And I'm not looking to BookTok or TikTok for my recommendations anymore. I'm primarily using Goodreads or using another source like the library to diversify myself and to make myself wise. And I will definitely say over this past year, reading has become a lot more enjoyable because I have tried to read a book for women's history, to try to read a book for Black history. And if you're somebody who gets really overwhelmed due to the amount of choices you have, I would just recommend using the Goodreads bookmarks and just try to go there, because it will introduce you to new authors, and you just need to shake up in your reading. So thank you for coming to my video, and I will see you in the next one.